Many people are born into fame or work their way into it. But did you know that even murderers and serial killers have gained an excess amount of fame due to their actions? Jeffrey Dahmer is a well-known serial killer who did not begin to kill or develop feelings of necrophilia until the age of 18, which was 3 weeks after his graduation when he committed his first murder. Within every one of us, there's a deep desire, something we've always wanted, but the desires that Jeffrey Dahmer had were much more unusual. Me and myself have always had an interest in diving into the minds and investigating and understanding what is inside the minds of these serial killers that have had such a huge impact on us today. Jeffrey Dahmer's life started with an abnormal childhood of dissecting dead animals and desires of death, leading to gruesome and brutal murders that he committed, then following his sentence. Now we're going to explore the life and mind of the known man-eater, Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer had started his lifetime full of murder and even cannibalism at a young age. Dahmer's childhood was full of abandonment and psychological distressing events. Dahmer experienced a childhood of witnessing verbal altercations between his parents and family members, and even enduring a traumatizing event of a double hernia at the age of 4, experiencing neglect, and also rumored to have endured sexual assault, which was never proven but was suspected. This was founded in the article Jeffrey Dahmer, Psychopathy and Neglect, written by Tamara Higgs of 2012. Dahmer had admitted to having fantasies of death mingled with sex, specifically selecting hitchhikers, holding them hostage, and then being able to have his way with them. This was also founded in the same article by Tamara Higgs. At the age of 18, Dahmer had committed his first murder. In this picture, he was about the age of 18 because it was his senior high school picture. These murders had focused on men who were all homosexual. 10 of the 17 people that he killed were black, and although never shown to have racially profiled them, it was only the men he was able to lure in and who were willing to come with him he selected. This was founded in Microdisasters, The Case of Serial Killer Jeffrey Dahmer by Jeffrey M. Jensen of 2017. Dahmer would then lure these men in. He would sedate his victims using chloroform. He would then drill holes into their skulls and then inject diluted acid into their brain, trying to make them have a zombified state of mind, but ended up killing them. This was also founded in the Microdisasters of 2017 article. Now that we know the environment in which Jeffrey Dahmer came from and the victims that he specifically targeted, let's discuss the murders that followed. Over Dahmer's lifespan, he had committed a total of 17 murders. Dahmer's murders took place in multiple states throughout the years of 1978 to 1991. 15 of the murders had taken place in his hometown in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and 2 others took place in Ohio. This was founded by a government news source of FBI Serial Killers, Part 7, Jeffrey Dahmer, of 2014. 10 of the 17 murders occurred between May 1990 through 1991, which consisted of 8 black males, 2 Asian males, and 1 white male. This was founded in Microdisasters 2017 by Jeffrey M. Jensen as well. In Dahmer's home, the murders involved cannibalism, and he kept souvenirs. In Dahmer's home, there were skulls of his victims along with Polaroids, which were too gruesome to be shown, but thanks to Microdisasters, the case of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, this picture was posted on their site, which includes the chloroform in which he used to sedate his victims, the acid that he would put into their brains, the pot in which he would remove flesh from the skulls, and then his own personal skulls from the victims that he kept as souvenirs. Dahmer was known as the Milwaukee Killer who would also eat parts of his victims as a way of feeling permanently close, knowing they would always be a part of him. He would specifically eat the hearts and the arm muscles of the victims, which were just specifically preference. This was founded in The Death of Jeffrey Dahmer of 2018. After having discussed the murders and the souvenirs he kept from the variety of his victims, now we're going to focus on the capture of Jeffrey Dahmer. His capture sent him behind bars, which then resulted in his death. He was arrested on July 22, 1991. Dahmer, although not charged, had committed rape, necrophilia, dismemberment, and cannibalism. This was found in an article on Crime Museum of 2017. Jeffrey Dahmer faced trial pleading not guilty by reason of insanity and then was sentenced to 15 life terms, which is equivalent to 957 years spent in prison, also found in the Crime Museum article. He was then later charged with two further accounts of murder, which turned to about 999 years imprisonment. Dahmer was only in prison and it lasted about 3 years. He attempted suicide by cutting his neck, but when taken to the medical examiner, he had only had superficial damage, so he was sent back. Dahmer was killed by blunt force trauma to the head by a fellow inmate on November 24, 1994. These murders committed by Jeffrey Dahmer showed the results of a neglected and abused man who grew up to be unstable. Throughout Dahmer's life, he experienced a childhood of neglect and abuse, which triggered his own inner demons. The murders throughout the years, following his graduation, leading to his sentencing on 17 accounts, along with his unexpected death, Dahmer grew to fame from his actions, but suffered his consequences as well. Dahmer's murder came to a shock to many, but was planned and meaningful in the eyes of Jeffrey himself. Although there is much wrong to come from the lifestyle he lived, there is much to be learned when looking into the mind of a serial killer. Thank you for diving into the mind of Jeffrey Dahmer with me.